Hey, everybody. On this edition of Crying in My Car, a podcast for teachers, we're going to talk about the power of music in the classroom. Then we're going to discuss a bill that is being pushed in Missouri that would turn teachers into felons. And then lastly, we are going to talk about teaching in a Hispanic community. What are the pros? What are the cons? Stay tuned. Crying in My Car starts now. Hey, everybody. Welcome to Crying in My Car, a podcast for teachers. I'm Devin Siebold, and this is James Ian, and we are hopefully going to make you laugh, ease that stress of teaching. Thank you all for rating us 5 stars, giving us thumbs up, adding those comments to the comment section, sharing the podcast, letting everybody know about it. You can go to devincomedy.com for upcoming tour dates, and also teachersneedlaughter.com for speaking engagements. Hopefully you find James Ian on the intranets. He's around.
I'm there.
Yeah.
I've been known to dabble.
He's doing good. And also, while you're on the internet, I bring up the internet because I want to tell teachers about something. Now, This is not a paid advertisement. This is just my own experience.
Okay.
I had some student loans. I started teaching, and when I was teaching, they gave me the student loan forgiveness. I didn't realize I was one of only 10,000 people to get the loan forgiveness. It was impossible to get that student loan forgiveness. But I got $7,500 forgiven because I was teaching U.S. history. I wasn't in a high needs area. It was up to $15,000, but base was $7,500.
Okay.
They forgave $7,500, and then this whole Biden talking of student loan forgiveness, and especially for teachers and stuff, I didn't think anything of it. And I got a few emails, and they were like, if your loan was less than $12,000, and I was like, my loans are $18,000.
Yeah,
I have $18,000 in loans. Well, teachers, I want to let you know. I'm just bringing this up because I was in the car driving between gigs, and I got an email before we got to the next board teacher show, and it was the student loan forgiveness, and they're like, you might be eligible for something. And I was like, what? I don't think I am. I got $19,000. Well, I clicked on it, and it turns out it's per year, not total that you owe. Which threw me off. So each year I only borrowed like $9,000 and then like $2,000, and $3,000, So it was per year. It wasn't my total of $19,000. I was eligible. Not only that, but all I had to do was the income adjustment, whatever. I'm telling you right now, it took a total of 4 minutes of me being on this website, and they forgave $14,000.
What?
By the time I was off the internet, in 4 minutes, $14,000 went away. Because I was a teacher, or formerly a teacher, I was on time with my payments.
Yes.
And even if you're not on time, even if you're no longer teaching, I'm no longer teaching. I know some of you think, oh, well, you have to be a teacher. You don't have to be a teacher.
No.
It's literally for anybody that did the public service at one point. So I just want to let people know, just log in on the government website. Just run your info. Just type in your info of what you are, what you do, how much you have. Let them connect to the IRS. Let them look at your stuff.
Yeah.
Because you may be surprised when I clicked submit and it came back seconds later and was like, you only owe us $6,000 now. Your payments are $10 a month. I was like, I was like, okay.
All right, man. Two things.
Right.
First thing, congratulations, my friend.
Yeah.
That is huge.
I'm blown away.
Yeah.
I thought I was going to be saddled with that debt forever.
But second thing, there are people listening right now who heard you say, I owe $13,000. They're like, what? You think that's a lot?
No. Well, I owed 19.
Okay.
But here's the thing that I hated about student loans is like, you take it out, you're a kid.
Yeah.
And that's an enormous amount of money. And also, they tell you, for years I was only paying like $60 a month.
Yeah.
Well, in my mind, you log in and they're like, you owe $60. You just keep paying $60. I'll just pay you $60, $60, $60. Well, then I go to look at it. James, I borrowed $15,000.
Yes, sir.
I owed $19,000.
Yes, sir.
I was paying less than the interest that was accruing.
That is correct.
And you look at it and you go, I'm never going to be free of this debt.
And
I will pay it all the way off 6 times over before I die, and then it's passed to my kids.
And you're a teacher, and that's what we call the definition of a racket.
Yes. But I mean,
yes.
That's why. So and I know some people are like anti-student loan forgiveness, but I've been paying for going on, 17 years now.
Yes, you have.
I've been paying, and I owe $4,000 more than when I started paying.
Yes. That's not a good deal.
That's a terrible deal. But and there was one point where I was paying like $300+ a month, and then they had the income adjustment thing where they let you do it, and so I was and trust me, teacher money, your income adjusted is a very small.
Yes, it is.
Amount that they're going to require you to pay. But I was surprised. So I just wanted to bring that up. I'm not paid by the Biden administration.
No.
I could care less who did it.
Yeah.
But all I know is it does exist, and you might want to, before the election happens, try to take advantage of that.
Good point.
And just look it up. Just look it up.
Gotcha.
I ignored every email.
Yeah.
I said, I already received this. There's no reason they're going to ever. I owe too much. I make too much money. I make good money now, but I also have a big household.
Yes, you do.
I have a lot of dependents that I take care of. And so that kind of stuff balances out. When you don't think that it applies to you, just check.
4 minutes.
The worst thing they can go is no.
That's it. Yeah. It only took you.
Yeah, and plus, I will say this too. Since he started forgiving student loans, the parameters have gotten looser. Mm-hmm. So people that weren't forgiven prior are now forgiven. So just get your name in the dang bucket and just see. I know there's a lot of teachers that are struggling financially.
I was going to
It's getting worse.
Yeah.
And, if you can just take that off your, off your plate for just a little bit of money, that's
life-changing. Let's be honest.
All right.
Congratulations.
Yeah. James said, you have student loans? You got kids.
I have. Yeah, they're called kids.
Yeah.
I have life loans. No, but I would tell you, and we talked about it a little bit 2 podcasts ago. My kids did the dual enrollment, so they had a free education. So they had very minimal when it came to student loans.
It must be nice.
It was.
Yeah.
The government was on my side. Yes.
This last thing that I want to talk about before we get into the teachers in the news is something that I'm really into, man.
Okay.
And I was reminded of it when I was driving my kids to school this morning. My kids were crazy. My kids in the car were just bouncing off the dang doors.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh my gosh, what a morning. You guys are going crazy. Mm-hmm. What did I do? I put on a song.
Okay.
Put on a little bit of music. And within just a few seconds, the car had kind of calmed down. I look in the rear view. My son's just bouncing along, listening to music. Daughter's just singing along with it. And I'm singing along with it. And the mood changed in the car. Kids got out much more relaxed. And I was reminded of something. When I was in school, I don't think, when I was teaching, I don't think teachers use the power of music enough.
Okay.
And what I mean by that is you have access now to Spotify.
You do.
And or Apple Music or whatever you use. You have every song at your disposal. Clean versions too. Which, by the way, teachers, I want to warn you, clean and radio edit are not the same.
They're definitely not.
You can think they are, but they can say a lot of stuff on the radio. Clean means clean.
Yeah.
But what I would do occasionally in class is I would put on some music. Mm-hmm. I would say, all right, we have a group project. And while we're working in groups, I'm going to put on a little bit of music.
Yeah.
And I've walked into a ton of classrooms, especially elementary level.
Yes.
Where they are off the walls, and then I go into the next one, and they're all on tasks, and there's music playing. Classical music, radio edit, the radio-friendly stuff. There's a lot of good music that sometimes is playing, and you can see that I think the kids focus better.
I think you're right.
And sometimes, as a teacher, too, I found that there was a little bit of power in letting the kids listen to music.
Okay.
Some teachers are very adamant. No music, no headphones, no cell phones.
I get it.
I told them, I said, if you are doing your work that I've just assigned you,
yes,
you can have headphones. I have 2 rules. You are not on your phone. You can press play, headphones, put it away.
Yes.
Second rule, I can't hear it.
Makes sense. Yes.
I said, I don't want to walk by you and hear, I want you to hear it. Don't do too loud. And believe it or not, this is a funny story, but I used to do a lesson in class about hearing loss.
Okay.
Because students today don't know that your eardrums don't come back.
No, they don't grow back. Yeah.
Like the volume that they were listening to music at, I go, you guys don't realize it's going to go away.
But the one thing that's different than us, though, we would put on headphones sometime.
Yeah.
They always have earbuds in, like 24 hours a day.
Not only that, but our headphones that were like foam covering the ear.
Yes.
Theirs are in their ear.
There, yes.
Like pumping it in. And I'm like, your hearing loss is going to be there. But anyways, that's a side note. But I would just say you can do that. And I noticed that, the class would be quieter, more people on task.
Yes.
And my students look forward to that.
Yes.
They look forward to doing an assignment. So I would teach, then we'd have a little bit of work, and then I'd wrap it up. And during that little bit of work, I'd go, oh, okay, guys, now I want you to do the work. And they would get it out, and I'd see headphones go on, and then I'd see them working.
Yes.
And it sometimes you need that little bit of music, that little quiet space. It would put them in the quiet space. And I thought that was a huge advantage. But I don't see teachers using music as much anymore.
I don't think they realize, because we've been taught for so long, you got to get rid of all the distractions. You're taught that, headphones is a distraction in class. No, it's not. When I was in art class, because I took a lot of those in high school, I loved art. My teacher would set the mood of the room by putting on music when it was time for us to work on our projects.
Yeah.
And everybody just focused, and they just zoned out, and they started working and painting. And you would get so much done and not even realize the whole class went by. You're like, that's it?
Yep.
It was time to go? Yeah, so music is a very powerful tool if you use it the right way.
I'm that way on planes. So I do a lot of work on planes.
Got it.
I love to write on planes and pull out my laptop or my notebook. And I immediately put on headphones and I start listening to songs. And believe it or not, I have Pavlov dog myself. I have the same album that I listen to when I'm going to work, beginning to end, because I realized I was being very productive.
Yes.
And I was able to focus. I enjoyed the music, and it helped time go by. And I stopped going, you know what? Let me put on random, or what song do I want to listen to today? I go straight to that album and I go, time to work, and then I start working.
There you go. Because your brain knows when I hear this means we're going to work now.
Right. And I know some people are wondering what it is. It's Council Skies by Noel Gallagher. I love the Gallagher brothers.
I know you do.
Oasis, and that album, beginning to end, is one of my favorites. It's got high points, low points, relaxing music, and I work well when I'm listening to it. So I get on a plane and I press play and I immediately start working, and I have an hour till that album ends, and I get an hour working.
That's funny. Me and you have something similar, because I listen to music for certain things to get the job done. Like when I'm going to clean the house, it is always the same album.
Yo, what is it?
Britney Spears. Oops, I Did It Again.
Is it really though?
Oh yeah. Because you think about it, I'm cleaning up a mess that one of the kids had made. Yeah, I did it again. Yep. Yeah, there you go.
Had another child is actually the oops. But I don't know. I just feel like teachers need more music in the classroom. I used to love playing it. Students would listen to it. I'd even say, hey, do you guys have any music that you want to listen to?
We all can listen to.
We would share, and I'd be so amazed, because it also connects you with the kids.
Yes.
Because I don't know about you, but I like to, I read, so I don't know, James, did you ever read memes and stuff and then actually take them to heart?
Yes.
So one of the things that I read online was that, when we're young, we explore new music, and then we just keep that and stop. I go straight to Spotify, and I literally go to new releases, and
you'll check it out.
I press play and shuffle the week's releases.
Okay.
And some of them I love. Some I go, man, these kids got some great music. Some I go, this is absolute trash.
Yeah.
Why is this in the top 10? But I like to keep up with today's music and listen to what the kids are listening to. And I used to do that back in the day, and with class and stuff. And my kids would be amazed because they'd see me. I remember I was teaching, and I saw so many students at the Paramore concert, and when I was teaching middle school, and they're like, "What are you doing here?" I'm like, "I like Paramore."
Yeah.
And they're like, "You?" And I'm like, "Yeah." Yeah, I love Paramore. They
Yeah.
went to go see Bishop Briggs. That's a newer one.
Yeah.
I love them. And I went to go see like new bands, and they're like, "What are you doing here?" I'm like, "I like Color and Shape too."
Yeah.
The Weeknd. Oh my gosh, I'm in. But it's
I
just,
love that.
Yeah, as music progresses, I love my old music, but I also like the new, and it bridges the gap.
And it took me a while to actually open myself up to new music because I'm a child of the 90s. And, we are notorious about loving our music from the 90s. But my kids, the ones that brought me around, they would let me listen to stuff like, all right, Dad, listen to this. I'm like, well, I don't hate this. I kind of like it. Yeah, okay, I like it.
But I'm a little suspicious.
Like this. Okay, I'm going to listen.
Yeah. I'll
So,
tell you
yeah.
what's the most depressing thing is when
Yeah.
you hear songs sampled that you remember, and you're like, they don't remember this song, do they? They're
don't
like,
know.
listen to this new song. You're like, that's not a new song. That was my favorite song.
The sad part is when we listen to the sample that was sampled,
Oh,
and now
my
it's sampled
gosh,
again,
it's sampled again.
and they have no idea.
No idea. Yeah. And then you start to realize that everything links back to Chris Christopherson.
Pretty much.
All
Yes,
of it.
All of it.
He wrote every song ever.
Everything, yes.
Him and Dolly.
Yeah.
They wrote every song.
Every song, man.
All right, let's go on. All right, let's talk about the teachers of the news, shall we, James?
Yeah, we shall.
Hawaii realizes, we are pricing out of living, pricing the cost of living out of for teachers. We don't have a way for them to stay here. Now, I want to give you some numbers because this blew my mind. Hawaii has legislation considering building homes for teachers who struggle to meet the living expenses because of the profession. Now,
Wow.
Here's the wild thing. The average teacher income in Hawaii as of February 26, 2024, very
Okay.
recent data,
Okay.
$67,000 per year is the average entry-level pay for a teacher. $67,000.
Average.
Yep. Now you say to yourself, that's not bad.
No, that's not what I said.
Not great.
What? 67 in any right now?
Yeah.
Sign me up.
Yeah. But it doesn't seem like that bad. 67.
Not at all. No.
I don't know. I still think it's kind of low
You think so?
for teachers.
But what are teachers normally making here in the States, though?
In
Average.
Florida, average is probably like 42.
Okay.
So it's substantially
So,
good.
so let's take this then.
Yeah.
This is for a 2nd. Average here, 42. Someone comes and tells you average there is 67. You're going to be like, well, darn.
Yes, I know.
Yeah.
I know. It's not bad. Let me say, it's not bad.
Gotcha.
But
There's a but. Yeah.
in Hawaii, the average sale price of a home, the average sale price of a home in Hawaii, $851,000.
Okay. Wow. All right. What?
And you say to yourself, well, nobody's buying homes anymore. They're just renting, right?
Yeah, rent.
James, in Honolulu,
Yes.
the average rent for a one-bedroom apartment is $4,000 a month.
So what you're telling me is teachers are homeless.
Well, if you look at the $67,000, I
Yes.
mean, right there, you're using up 60% of your income
Yes.
just on rent.
That's insane.
And that's already in a place where food is higher, gas is higher, just eating out is high. Anything is
Yes.
higher.
Yeah.
Everything is higher
That's crazy,
in
brother.
Hawaii. So obviously it says that they are suffering from an extreme shortage of licensed teachers because they can't afford it, And so I think this
Wow.
is so wild to me because I'm so on the fence. I go, oh, you're going to build houses for teachers. That's nice. That's a good thing.
Yeah.
Why are we building homes instead of just paying them more? It's like we could just pay you more, but we would rather build you a house. And it's like, okay. So now I have to. We just go right back to the Pullman Mining Company days of you cannot leave teaching now because
No.
we bought you this home. What comes with that? What stipulations? Can they kick you out when you quit? Now you're forcing them.
Now you're controlling them.
You're controlling
Yeah.
them.
So now you're explaining to me that in Hawaii it costs $4,000 a month to live. That explains why so many people there eat Spam. Because it's the only thing that they can afford to eat. Yeah, man.
I just picture teachers like literally going out and just fishing for eating and just sitting. I've been standing at the edge of the water, broke as I can remember.
Oh, yeah. That's insane. I would love to hear from any teacher in Hawaii, like explain to us how you guys are living.
They can't afford their cell phone bill, so they probably won't be able to call us.
Oh my gosh.
But yeah, I don't know how you live there either. But there's other cities in the U.S. like that, but that's the worst that I've seen in terms of pay raise. Yeah. And the worst thing is you can't live outside
Hawaii.
Yeah, it's like San Francisco. You can go, I work in San Francisco, but I live. You know, I work in New York City, but I live. But in Hawaii, it's like, I work in Honolulu, but I'm inside the volcano.
By the way, rent is still high and no AC.
Yep. Krakatoa is charging me a fortune. All right. All right. This next one. All right. Slippery slope.
Uh-oh.
This is one of the things that I always worried about as a teacher. I don't think it gets brought up enough, and it's a teacher's worst nightmare. In high school, a teacher apparently was trying to break up a fight and ended up punching one of the girls.
Oh, wow.
That was fighting. Yeah. So apparently they're charged with second-degree endangering welfare of a child and simple assault. And apparently scheduled for court. I don't know what's going to happen, but with them, with their teaching license and stuff like that. Apparently there was a big altercation. Multiple staff members had to be intervened because it was that bad. And apparently this teacher struck one of the kids with a closed fist. And, you know, so here's the thing.
It was a brawl.
Yeah, it was a brawl. I'm not defending what the teacher did. I'm saying you're making it very difficult for teachers nowadays because there are fights. These kids are big and they are fighting aggressively. And we have a responsibility to stop that fight. Sometimes us stopping a fight puts us in the fight.
Yeah.
And then we have to defend ourselves, or sometimes, you know, I just always worried. So I always worried that if I jump in the middle of a fight and people start swinging on me and nobody's listening to me, you know, can you control your temper long enough to just separate yourself from the incident? And it's got to be hard for teachers, you know, to not get involved, you know. It's one of those things where you want us to be like superheroes in that respect every single time. And sometimes it's so hard to put yourself in the middle of a brawl and not get sucked into it.
What if you're getting hit as a teacher?
Exactly, yeah.
Like, can you not?
You can defend yourself. I mean, obviously, this teacher, it sounds like they swung, but I don't know the situation.
We don't know the details, yeah.
Yeah, but obviously now, you know, they're being prosecuted.
Yeah, they are.
They probably will lose their job. I don't know what's going to happen, but it's one of the things that I always worried about the most. In my first fight that I broke up, I'll never forget. I broke up the fight, and I thought it would just be me stepping in the middle going, stop, and it would end. And it did not end.
No.
That thing dragged across school. And I mean, and then I felt weird too because it was two girls fighting, and I was trying to separate them by using my hands, like, get away from her.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh my gosh, I hope I don't touch this girl inappropriately.
Yes.
I was like, how do I restrain them? How do I? And if I restrain one and the other one hits, then I'm in trouble for holding the girl back, and she gets hit. And it's in your mind. There's 400 scenarios going. Don't do this. You got to do this. You got to watch for this. Also, don't get hit. Also, this is going. I mean, and you're like. It's such a difficult situation for a teacher
to navigate.
Yeah. And
I can't imagine. I don't know what to do. And you can't just stand there because then why did you let them fight?
Yeah. So I mean, this one, it's a teacher's nightmare where you're in a fight and suddenly you become part of the fight. You know, but it's like, man, maybe this person felt at risk of, you know, being hit. Maybe they feared for their safety. There's so many different variables in there, but to put us in the middle of it, I mean, we got school resource officers, but they can't be everywhere.
No, they can't.
And if two kids start fighting and the school resource officer is halfway across campus, I mean, we've seen recently where a student died, you know? You don't want that on your conscience.
No,
you don't want that on your, you know, anything, but you don't want that to happen. So it's like, step in. Also, here comes, a lot of potential for problems.
And you're scared. I'm damned if I do. Damned if I don't.
Yeah. So, I mean, I hope they get to the bottom of it, but, it's one of those things that I think, too, maybe teachers need, and I hate using this word, but training. I hate to say that because the last thing teachers need is more training.
Yeah.
But I feel like I never received guidance on what to do when there was a fight.
Yeah, that's a weird thing because
they never told me what to do.
You guys go through a million meetings and they teach you about lessons and teach you about the new procedures, but never about those kind of things, right?
I got 27 bloodborne pathogen videos that I had to watch.
Yes.
I never got a single bloody nose violent fight video that I had to watch. Mm-hmm. But there was fights much more than there was,
and were you even aware of fight policies?
Nope.
No, nothing.
Not one time did they tell me, here's how you break up a fight. Here's what you're supposed to do. It was literally like, learn as you go.
Which is probably not the best way to go about that.
No.
Not at all.
Yeah. So I will say that I shifted my point of view after that.
Okay.
So this one, I saw them arguing, and I remember my first fight. I saw them arguing, and I was like, don't fight. And then I saw fists flying. I was like,
You
so
were wishful thinking the first time.
Yeah.
Like, please don't fight.
Then after that, I became much more proactive. As soon as I saw the arguing, I was over there like, no, come on. You don't have to. We don't have
Go
to talk
separate ways.
like that. Yeah. Just leave each other alone. So and then it became preventative. And, and I think sometimes kids welcome that. I don't think the kids actually want to fight. But a lot of times
they can't back down.
Yeah.
Can't show fear.
A lot of times they want the teacher to step in and go, don't. And they go, well, the teacher wasn't here. I would have fought. And then they turn around and they cry. They're like, oh, God, I almost got hit.
There you go. Help them save face.
Yeah. I know how passionate you are.
Yes.
And I was shocked reading this.
Okay.
In Missouri, there has been a bill sponsored and put forth for a vote that if a teacher uses a trans kid's pronouns, their preferred pronouns, they will be charged with a felony and placed on the National Sex Offenders Registry as a title or as a level 1 most severe sex offender.
That is...
That if the teacher, if the kid says, I prefer
to call
them,
me,
if I prefer, he, him, I prefer she, her, and you actually use that, felony sex offender.
That is the most ignorant thing I've heard in a long time.
I mean, I read it and I was like, oh my gosh, obviously, civil rights attorneys have chimed in and said, this is insane.
Yes.
That is a quote, by the way.
Yes.
And it said, those found guilty under House Bill 2885 would be subject to a $10,000 fine, imprisonment, placement on the state's sexual offender registry as a Tier 1 sex offender. And obviously, since sex offenders are not allowed to reside within 500 feet of a school or daycare, they would end the teacher's career. And Missouri has introduced that and made it a felony.
Is there a senator who's put this forth?
Yeah, Jamie Gregg. I went to their X. Obviously, they're only on Twitter. Mm-hmm. And their entire existence in the legislature is attacking gay people and abortion rights. They have no other identity.
That's it.
They have nothing else that they have talked about in the past 2 years since they have been in office. Mm-hmm. There is nothing that they've fought for, nothing that they just have a specific group that they would like to attack. Also, I would also like to say that Jamie Gregg spelled principles with an L-E-S. I don't think if you can't spell the job title of the job you're attacking, you shouldn't be allowed to put out legislation against it. Principles is P-A-L-S. And when you consistently say teachers and principals and you're spelling it wrong, I don't take you seriously. But also when you put out hate, I don't take you seriously either. Oh, man.
Okay. All right. Let's, here we go.
So
here's my thing. I always ask the same question we deal with anybody that's criticizing trans students. First question, why do you care? Why do you care so much that you would go as far as to introduce legislation that would make a person who just abided by their wishes, who just called them by their pronouns, you would make them a sex offender? How does that make sense in any way? You're putting them in the same category as people who have harmed kids in such a way that they need to be put in prison because you don't agree with a lifestyle choice.
Right.
By a name.
Yep. And the bill, apparently this person also sponsored another bill that said that any librarian allocating funds in libraries for LGBTQ content would be defunded. The state would prevent them from having any funds for the libraries. I mean, it's clear the demographic they're attacking.
Yes. It's not, it's not even hidden. It's targeted. It's sad, and it's more so than sad. It's disappointing.
Yeah,
it really is.
I mean, as teachers, it's we're trying to create a safe environment for the kids, you know. And if a kid came to me and said, "Look, I prefer this," I go, "Okay, is you preferring that? That harms me in no way.
No way.
And you, if it makes you feel whole and makes you into the person you believe you are, and that's who you are, then I support your identity,
your decision.
Yeah.
Yes,
and
it doesn't harm anyone.
Unfortunately, now you're gonna put a lot of question marks in teachers' minds. Going, I would, but I can't. You know, and it's like, and unfortunately too, even more unfortunate is that teachers are often viewed by youth as that island of safety. They're the one person that gets them and supports them. Yes. And now you've taken that away, you know? It's like, oh my gosh. So I hope the bill doesn't pass. I can't imagine that it would pass.
Me either. But I have more faith in people.
Yeah, unfortunately, though, if something like that does pass, you would see it pass elsewhere. There's always, they test the waters on some of these bills, you know? And, but putting them on the sex offender registry is just...
That's wrong. It's not even bad. It's just wrong.
Yeah.
You didn't do anything to deserve that title.
Right.
That's not right.
Right. And you know, I've heard jokes about this, too, before, is like, you know, when Cassius Clay asked to be called Muhammad Ali, we said okay.
Yes,
and that
fine.
Was Muhammad Ali wants. That's what he wants to be called now. And as a whole, the whole world respected it and go, okay, that has your religious beliefs. That's tied to what you went through, and obviously you have a new identity here, and we're here to support it.
Even simpler than that. If a rapper has a rapper name, we call him the rapper name.
Right.
And no one questions it. But if a student just says, change my pronoun, whoa.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
I don't know. So anyways, find them, Jamie Gregg on X and let them know what you have to say about that. But I honestly, I lost brain cell. Oh, and one other thing I would like to say, when I was going through his social media, somebody said that he hates women, and he said, this is a big misnomer. He responded and said, this is a big misnomer. I don't hate women. Also, as I continued to scroll, every woman that said something against him, he said they were stupid.
Oh, wow. Okay.
He said stupidity, this person's stupid, the stupid coming out of your mouth. I've never read anything that makes it me more stupid. And that was his consistent attack on women.
Gotcha.
Was, you're stupid. And I'm like, okay, you're definitely saying the opposite of what you just said.
Yes.
You know?
Yes.
If that's how you consistently battle women is instead of actually coming with facts and saying this is your point of view, here's my point of view, just calling them stupid. I mean, I don't know.
If you disagree with me, I'm calling you stupid.
How these people get in office, I will never understand.
Oh, I know how.
The last thing, I went in on a positive note. I like positivity. There is a teacher that was named, and I did not know this was a thing, the top bilingual teacher of the year.
Okay.
I didn't know. We have top teachers of the year. You always hear top teacher of the year.
I like that.
Apparently the National Association for Bilingual Education has named the top bilingual teacher of the year. Vivian Rivera Masonet was chosen as this year's top bilingual teacher.
Okay.
She's a fourth grade Spanish dual language immersion teacher at Elizabeth Scott Elementary, and happens to be the only teacher in the country to offer, a Spanish dual language immersion according to the school system. That's fantastic. You don't really think about that.
I don't.
having that dual language of getting to know and understand both languages in class as an immersion for kids in elementary school. Those kids are going to grow up with a whole lot more opportunities being bilingual.
Yes, they are. They're going to have a leg up on so many other, because the more the country is influenced by other cultures and whatnot, it just helps to have another language under your belt, man.
Yeah, I agree. And so,
Good for you.
I didn't know there was a bilingual education. They had their 53rd annual international conference.
53 years. Look at that.
In New Orleans. This is a big thing.
Yeah.
And I knew teachers that were bilingual. I didn't know they had their own association.
Neither did I.
And maybe some teachers listening are bilingual and had no idea as
Either,
well.
yeah. They're like, now I know.
And what's also interesting too, and I wonder, I don't know if I'm just biased in this, that it's the only thing I know, but when you think bilingual, I think Spanish-English.
So do I. Because do
you ever think any other language?
No, and here's why we think that.
Why is that?
It's all environment. We live in Central Florida, and we have a huge Latin population.
Yes.
So we think that automatically. But they could be talking about German. They could be talking about any other language out there besides Spanish. I don't know any other ones.
I
can't think of any. Yeah.
Like German or other Spanish.
Because my mother-in-law is German and half Spanish. That's all I know.
I taught, it's funny you say that because I wanted to close today talking about what I encountered. So I taught at a school that was 98% Hispanic, maybe like 96% Hispanic.
Mm-hmm. Tell me you teach in Florida without telling me you teach in Florida.
Right.
There you go.
Especially Central Florida.
Yeah.
So Central Florida is home to a massive amount of Puerto Rican communities, Mexican communities, just tons of Spanish-speaking.
Dominican Republic. Yeah.
Tons of Spanish-speaking origins here in Florida. And man, I loved it.
Yeah.
Teaching at a Hispanic school to me was the biggest gift. I taught at other schools. And
Yes.
My first school that I taught at was predominantly white, black.
Okay.
Few Hispanic, little bit, and it's kind of magnet school.
Yeah.
And then I went and taught in a public school, and it was mostly Hispanic. And it was so interesting because of the prejudices that exist, that when I told people I was going over to that school, they were like, "Oh, that's a rough school." And I'm like, "Why? Why do you say that?" And they're like, "Well, it's kind of like a big Mexican community." I'm like, "Go on with your racism." Tell me why.
Why?
And I just never understood it. And then I started teaching there, and I loved it because the Hispanic community to me was so family oriented.
I was first thing out of my mouth.
So many brothers and sisters, and I would have a student absent, and I would have 3 different brothers come over and be like, "Hey, they're not here. Can I get the work?" And I go, "Oh, I already gave it to your other brother."
Yeah.
Okay, my mom's freaking out, and I'm like, "Yeah, okay." There was big family communities, big, kind of like. A community is different.
Yes, it is.
They get together for big events
all the time.
Yeah, and every time I went out to eat in the area, I would always see students, and they'd be like, "This is my mother. This is my grandfather. This is we run this. We've ran this place for 40 years. It lays in the family. And it was cool to just see how much they all loved each other.
Absolutely.
Huge amount of love. And, if I had a problem with somebody, I'd call up, and they didn't know how to get to the bottom of it. Somebody in that family did, and there would be changes that would be made.
Yes.
Now, there were some difficulties. I needed to quickly learn all the curse words. All of them. I needed to have, I literally had a cheat sheet on curse words. I'd be like, "Please do your work." And I'd hear, and I'd be like, "I'll be right back." And I'd go to my desk, I'd be like, "Oh, how dare you!"
It's like 2 minutes later. Everybody's like, "What?
Wait a minute.
Wait a sec."
Yeah. But I had to learn the curse words pretty quickly.
Yes.
And then I also had to just kind of learn a little bit of the differences in just day-to-day lives.
Culture. Yes.
Yeah, in culture. And also, I got to indulge in some of the food.
I was going to say, sir.
The snacks and let me tell you right now how there was not just a massive blood pressure problem, because literally my students would take suckers. This was a big thing. They would take suckers, and they would take spices, like full cans of spice.
Yep.
And I'm like, "You've had 4,000 milligrams of salt
Sodium.
since you have came in my door. It was always interesting to see the news. And then I tried it and I'd be like, oh, that's good.
Yeah, it's very good. Yes, it is.
I really got into the food, and now I love authentic Puerto Rican, authentic Mexican food.
Yes, you do.
I like the real deal.
Yes, you do.
I want to go where they go. And
I want to go where everyone else goes.
Yes, and eat there. And
I can see them eating.
But it was so cool to see them out in public and see them just in the real world. And I didn't get that vibe from the other schools that I went to. It was just, it's a job. Here's the kids. That's that. But when you're a part of their culture, part of their community, then it becomes like, that's you.
Yes.
You know, that's Siebold.
Yes.
We gotta.
Yes.
I saw them start to come out to like comedy shows when they graduate.
Absolutely.
And they show up and be like, Siebold's performing. We're going to go support Siebold.
I am so on the same page as you are, because I believe, man, there would be so many problems resolved with racism if we just were around each other's culture.
Bro.
When I was in school, it was a melting pot. We had Jamaican, we had Colombian, we had Puerto Rican, we had African American, white Caucasian from everywhere, and we got along.
Yeah.
We just all got along. And I actually, my wife's Puerto Rican. I love the Spanish community because it is a community. Mm-hmm. They are very tight with one another. I remember on my wedding day, the priest looked at me and goes, do you take this woman? I said, I do. And he looked at her, do you take this man? And the whole family said, we do.
Yeah.
Like, you marry the entire family, which is a beautiful thing. Every holiday, you're going to see the entire family, and everybody's going to have nothing but love and sharing of food and good times, man.
Yep.
So, yeah.
And people often sometimes, I will say sometimes I get, like, I'll hear like a racist comment towards like Hispanic people.
Yes.
And I have to look at them and I go, my children are Hispanic.
That's correct.
And they go, your children are Hispanic? I say, yeah, my ex, she was Colombian, Puerto Rican.
Yes.
And they're like, oh. And I'm like, so don't.
Yeah. So
that kind of, that kind of, it's so weird, but people don't think that I have Hispanic children.
You do.
But trust me, when we go out to the pool and I've got 7 pounds of sunscreen on and my kids are over there looking like Derek Jeter, they're like, are they yours? Yeah.
And Devin's like red.
Yeah, pretty much. I look at a picture of the sun. I'm like, God, this is too much. I'm British, so like
I know.
me and the sun are arch enemies. We do not get along.
You guys are. Yeah.
But
I've heard you call the sun some awful names.
Right? Every time I walk outside, I just speak in Spanish. I tell all the Spanish curse words I know. Sun comes back 3 minutes later. Wait a minute.
How
dare you? Oh, yeah. So, James, how can people find you, my friend?
As always, you can find me on Facebook, on Instagram, James Yon Comedian. That's YON. As always, thank you guys for continuing to follow me. I will keep putting out content for you to enjoy.
Yep. And devincomedy.com, upcoming tour dates. Teachers Need Laughter for speaking engagements. And obviously, check me out on the Board Teachers Comedy Tour coming to a city near you. Tons of new dates dropped recently. You're going to want to get those tickets because guess what? They sell out quick.
They do.
The amount of people that I get that comment and go, would have loved to have gone, but is sold out instantly. Yeah, sorry about that. So if you see a ticket available, grab it, and we'll see you out on tour. Thanks so much for tuning in. Crying in My Car, podcast for teachers. We'll see you next week. There might be a clip up there. There might be a clip down there. If it's got our face, if it's other people's stuff, come back. Don't click on that. But us. Suggested things. That's us. Crying in My Car. Devin Siebold, James Yon, Board Teachers. Watch. New trailer for Indiana Jones. No, don't do that. Don't do that.